Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Post-Raw number 150.
Whoa. Hey.
All right. Yes, indeed. I am Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. We have quite a show tonight. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of news in wrestling, and some major news that dropped tonight with an injury to Becky Lynch. That's a big time one. But also, we have new Raw Tag Team Champions to talk about. We have Kevin Owens making a WrestleMania challenge to talk about. And we also have to talk about our live event experience at Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
And I did not get F5'd.
No, Mike's alive, as you could see.
Although Brock was busted open. I could have had him. I could have taken him. It was there.
He was making threats, and I said, "You're lucky that you're not anywhere near him right now."
I have a video of me taking his entrance. I'm just like, I could kick his ass, right?
Yeah, that was so stupid.
It's great. It was great. It was great.
You looked dumb.
It was a great night. It was a really great night.
It was a great night.
We had some fun. But yes, I did not get a Shoosh t-shirt. They had like no merchandise.
They did not.
Madison Square Garden.
They did not.
It was crazy. Nope. I don't know what the hell that was about.
Great experience.
Yeah. Oh, it was excellent.
Overall atmosphere.
The only things that they had were title belts, like a couple of live event shirts. One was like New York 316, and the other one was an WWE Live 2022. I was there. And a couple autograph photos, and that's it. That's it essentially. So unless you wanted some goofy stuff, no. Andrew, I think you guys got worked on that. So there was this rumor, this one Twitter account came out and said that somewhere in section 115, we were not section 115. I forget what section we were in.
I think we were like, hold on.
I'm checking my tickets right now.
But what's the rumor?
Well, anyway, somebody apparently defecated on the floor. We were section 107. 107. Someone defecated on the floor, and security guards were making people shine flashlights in people's underwear. Like that right there should have been the clue that that's a fake. That's not true. That did not happen. Now there are very smelly people that happen to be wrestling fans, but no one defecated in Madison Square Garden, to the best of my knowledge.
I really don't think that happened, because I feel like we were in the vicinity. We would have seen something sketchy if that was going on.
I wouldn't want to see it happening, but
I don't think so.
I'm sure, because we were talking.
No, because honestly, we
were talking to the security guards, and no one said anything.
No, and the security guards too were very good. They were on top of everything. Like there were, a couple people doing stuff in our section that they were like, no, just stop doing that. So yeah,
you're done.
This
is over.
So,
but it was again. It was a fun night. We'll talk about that later on, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about on Raw tonight because we are on the road to WrestleMania. We are less than 1 month away. We are 26 days away from WrestleMania Saturday, and I'm going to have a busy Saturday. Man, oh man, am I going to have a busy Saturday, because I plan on recapping the NXT show, which takes place at noon on Saturday. And then I am going to go play organ at church. And then I'm coming back and I'm recapping the kickoff show, and I'm recapping WrestleMania Saturday. We're going to be doing, Victoria's going to be on it too. We're going to be doing a post show on WrestleMania Saturday. Then I'll be recapping again Sunday, WrestleMania Sunday. And we'll also do a post show then as well. And then it's the Raw after WrestleMania. I'll be recapping that. We'll do a post show on that. And then I might crash. I'm not really sure, but spring break will be upon us at some point there. So maybe I can hold out and not take a day off, but we'll see. But it's going to be busy. And there's a lot of stuff going on in Wrestleview. We're going to have some, I'm going to try to plan some stuff for WrestleMania week, maybe bring back some special guests. You never know. And we're going to have some fun, but let's talk about this Raw tonight, because the big news coming out of it, I guess the news that most people will talk about will be Kevin Owens challenging Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, it's not a match. It's not a match. That was the big rumor that Stone Cold Steve Austin was coming out of retirement for a match. And when I heard that, honestly, one of my first thoughts was, there's just no way Steve Austin's going to come back and do a match. Because fresh in our minds still, even though it's been, it was 3.5 years ago, was that atrocious, ill-fated, ill-conceived, for the cash only comeback match with Shawn Michaels, where it was DX versus Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction in Saudi Arabia. One of the most pitiful, depressing matches I've ever recapped in my entire 15-year career with Wrestleview. I'm going to be here 15 years.
That's amazing.
I think, right? Does that make sense?
Well, what year did you start?
I can't remember. 2008. I can't do math right now. No, I got one more year to go, 15. But I'm at 14. I'll be at 14 this year. But I'm at 14 years recapping. That was the worst. That, like, the worst big. I mean, other than Undertaker versus Goldberg, which was, again, just as equally depressing. Those are some of the most pitiful matches I've ever had the misfortune of recapping ever. And I'm not like talking about, like, yeah, there have been worse matches that I've recapped. I mean, I came in 2008 when Kelly was running wild in the Diva division and having some of the worst matches I've ever seen. But in terms of like a big promotion, a big promoted main event, that was the worst. And I think that's still fresh in my mind.
That's still fresh in my mind as well. I didn't even see it, but I boycotted it.
I just remember Triple H tearing the whole thing was a disaster. Triple H tore his pec right off the bone. Shawn Michaels landed on his face doing a moonsault to the floor. Kane's mask fell off. It was just pitiful, up and down, some of the worst garbage you've ever seen in your life. And really a stain on Shawn Michaels' legacy, who left in the most beautiful way possible, got to retire, got to write his own story, and then he wound up taking the money to come back for a match that he really didn't need.
Nope.
And it was sad. It was really sad. And I think Steve Austin at this point, I'm going to have a singles match. I'm almost 60 years old. I haven't wrestled since 2003. Almost 19 years ago. By the time I step into the ring in Dallas, it will be 19 years ago that he had his last match against The Rock. He went out on top, and he's going to come back and have a match against Kevin Owens and just do the greatest hits, maybe a Thez press and a stunner. I don't think he wants that. I just couldn't conceive in my mind Stone Cold coming back and doing. Well,
I'm the type of person where it kind of aggravates me a little bit when they're like, "Oh, I'm retired," and then it's like, "Nah, not really." Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you let your legacy live on. You make your appearances. Who's mentioning the chat right now? Yeah, if he just said like, he get a pop regardless. He doesn't need to wrestle. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't do it to yourself.
Yeah, he could hit a stunner. I mean, look, and he's in great shape, and Stone Cold still looks like Stone Cold, and that's one of the great things about having, being a guy with a shaved head. He could lose all of his hair, but it doesn't matter. He already had a shaved head, so he doesn't really look all that different.
No,
but to get into ring shape is a totally different story, and try to live up to what you were. Like, Daniel Schell's talking about Sting. At 63 being doing a dive through some tables last night at the AEW show, which was an awesome moment. But Sting is working at a much reduced pace than he was, but Sting has wrestled consistently through the years. So, he's adjusted his game, and people have had time to adjust watching him. It wasn't like, Sting last wrestled in 2002 and then he's wrestling in 2020 and you're expecting Sting from 2002. And it's a hard adjustment to make as a viewer. When Shawn Michaels retired in 1998 and came back in 2002, he was still a young guy and could still go at high level. At 60 years old, Steve Austin's not going to be able to go at a high level. He had to retire because of a neck injury in the first place. So it can only be, a diminished version. And something that'll make you like, oh, well, that's not the Steve Austin that I remember. So I think this is the smartest move. I think him being on the Kevin Owens show could be good. I'm having flashbacks right now to the Piper's Pit segment from WrestleMania 21 in 2005, where Austin and Piper just had a random back and forth talking segment, wound up slapping each other a couple times. And I think Carlito Caribbean Cool came out and ate a stunner and got punched by Piper or something like that. Or he got the apple thrown in his face, like the coconut that went on Jimmy Snuka's head. Good stuff. And I think, Steve Austin in Dallas, I think this will be like Kevin Owens in his promo also mentioned JBL is a blowhard, which I'm sure you loved because you hate JBL.
I hate him.
He mentioned Booker T and he mentioned Shawn Michaels and said that JBL's not invited because he's boring and has no personality. He said that Booker T is a contradiction because he's from Texas and says he's a proud Texan, but he wrestled in Harlem Heat and took on the persona of King Booker with a British accent. So he's uninvited because he's a hypocrite. And Shawn Michaels is uninvited because he's a proud Canadian, and on behalf of Bret the Hitman Hart, he's not invited. So that leaves Steve Austin. But I think we'll be seeing JBL, Shawn Michaels, and Booker T coming out as well.
No JBL. I don't want JBL.
I have a feeling you don't mention their names and they're not going to be there. So I think we'll be seeing that. So I think everybody will be hitting a finisher on Kevin Owens, and that will be his WrestleMania thing. You know what? Kevin Owens not having a match at WrestleMania this year might extend his career because the guy does something crazy every year at WrestleMania. Like I'm thinking about the empty warehouse at WrestleMania 36 in the Performance Center when he dove off the sign and broke his ankle big time.
Mm-hmm.
He goes crazy at the in big moments. So maybe just taking a couple finishers and having an easy night and saving himself for another year.
And you know what? He still will get like this insane reaction just from having Stone Cold there and whoever shows up.
Exactly. Without having to kill yourself. He'll still get that WrestleMania moment.
Get that WrestleMania moment. You don't necessarily have to have a match to have a WrestleMania moment.
So Andrew Elder thinks that maybe Bret the Hitman Hart and The Undertaker too. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see about that. Sorry, they're asking questions about the Saudis. Yeah, that was Crown Jewel 2018. It was in Saudi Arabia. The Australia match was Undertaker versus Triple H, where Shawn Michaels was at ringside, and so was Kane. That led to the Crown Jewel match. That was also a super depressing match. That was just sad. There really wasn't much about Undertaker, in the last couple years of his career that wasn't sad. I think we saw the last great match that Undertaker had before a crowd.
Yeah.
At Extreme Rules in 2019, when it was Shane and Drew McIntyre versus Undertaker and who?
I don't remember.
Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre versus No.
Hold on.
Shane McMahon and Undertaker versus Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre versus
Hold on.
Undertaker and Roman Reigns. Yeah, Roman Reigns.
Whoa.
Yeah, Roman Reigns.
Whoa, my brain is not working tonight.
I got it. Yeah, Roman Reigns was there too. Yeah, that was the thing. But that was like the match that kind of gave Undertaker a little confidence back because that was right after the Goldberg match. And then of course his last match was that Boneyard match, but it was a great way for him to go out. And again, it's like, I don't care how much money the Saudis offer. Stone Cold should never come out of retirement to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, and Undertaker should never have another match for the rest of his career. For the rest of his life. Even though the Boneyard match isn't technically like a match and it wasn't before a crowd, and it is kind of crummy that Undertaker's last match wasn't before a crowd.
Right, wasn't in quarantine.
After 30 years. Even his farewell at Survivor Series 2020 wasn't before a crowd. He'll have his Hall of Fame moment. He'll have the appearance at WrestleMania when they announce the Hall of Fame class. Maybe he will come out and hit Kevin Owens with a tombstone pile driver.
He might.
That would be cool.
And that would be fine.
Or even just a choke slam or something like that.
Anything. Again, not having to work full match.
But he won't be working a match. He should never work a match again. And he'll get to say goodbye. So that'll be really good. Yeah, not a match, just Taker laying down the law with some loudmouth like Randy Torcola is saying. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good idea. Maybe
brings nostalgia without having to
and
maybe
he retires the dead man persona too, and he comes out on the motorcycle and does the American Badass thing.
Who knows? Honestly, there's so many different ways they could go about this.
He could do. I mean, I think that was a good way to retire the dead man persona at Survivor Series 2020. Would you agree with that?
Oh yes.
So I think maybe the American Badass motorcycle. WrestleMania in Dallas, he's not the Undertaker anymore. He's Mark Calloway, getting a moment, which would be very cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential here for some really cool moments.
There is.
And I'm just going to say this, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I think that that's significantly better than Stone Cold Steve Austin having a singular match. You can get a lot of great names in there, and no one's going to potentially embarrass themselves.
No, I 100% agree with you. Less is more in this situation. Let them all come out. Let them do a finisher. Do whatever they need to do, and then be done with it. You get the nostalgia without having to get anybody involved and embarrassing themselves and hurt in any capacity and whatever. Nobody has to be like in ring shape ready.
Right.
You just have to be themselves, do whatever they need to do, get the crowd's reaction, and then move on with their day.
And, I thought that WrestleMania 32 from Dallas was one of the dirt worst WrestleManias that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like WrestleMania 11 will always be the worst, I think. But WrestleMania 32 is pretty damn close. That was just an awful WrestleMania. I hated everything about it. And probably the only thing that I really liked about that WrestleMania from Dallas was Stone Cold, Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels coming out and beating up whatever that European thing that they were doing, Wade Barrett and Sheamus and somebody else. I can't remember, but they essentially, the League of Nations, I think they were called.
Mm-hmm.
They came out and beat them up, and that got a huge pop. And that was probably the only great moments from that WrestleMania. So this is going to be a rehash of that probably.
Yeah, but better.
Yeah. But better, because now Stone Cold will get to talk. Stone Cold's going to be a featured portion of this. So that'll be a good thing. So that's one piece of big news coming out of this. Do you have any other thoughts on Steve Austin? I'm sorry if I talked too much.
You did not talk too much. I think it's appropriate that you speak more about that subject, just because, again, Stone Cold was my favorite growing up when I was like really young.
That's when he was around. And
I honestly too, I wasn't allowed to watch at certain points. So that's kind of like my first really early memories of wrestling, but I think everything that could happen with this could be fun. I'm all about fun, and I'm all about bringing forth something like simple.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I can definitely live with that. And all right, the next big piece of news coming out is we have new Raw Tag Team Champions. RK Bro was victorious over Alpha Academy, who were the former champions, and Kevin Owens and Seth freaking Rollins. Now, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, they were looking for a path to WrestleMania. That was the story of the match, and they did a great job. I mean, I got to tell you, this is probably one of the best matches that you'll see on Raw this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go out of your way to see it. You just have to find a way to see it, because it was excellent. It was just excellent. And they didn't do that WWE thing where they ruin everything by having a triple threat tag match, but only two people are in, and then the one team will have to tag. That's just stupid. They had three people in the ring, so that just made it better already. Now it's making sense. Logically, I'm watching, I'm like, all right, this isn't stupid. and they just proceeded to have an incredible tag match, including and Daniel Schell is correct here, that RKO was just the greatest, best one in his career. I still think the Evan Bourne shooting star press into the RKO is the best one ever. This might be the second best RKO that we'll ever see. And the second best before this was the stomp into the RKO from WrestleMania 31 in California. when Seth Rollins went for the stomp and Randy Orton popped up and then crushed him with an RKO. That was an incredible RKO. This one took over for me. This is the new number 2, and I'm going to show that momentarily because it was just wildly good. But everything in this match was great. You know, Chad Gable is by far one of my favorite things in WWE right now. By far. He's just killing it. The promo, we loved him on Saturday. He was probably one of my favorite things from the show on Saturday.
This on Saturday, the matches that we saw with them in particular, tag matches, it was very telling of what was going to happen tonight in terms of just the whole entire sequencing of how they played everything out and just to what level they took it to. Just fun, entertaining, hard-hitting, like good pacing, everything that you look for in a match. This had it. This had every element of what you really want to see in a match. And I just couldn't get over every piece. You know, there was no lull from start to finish. It progressed exactly how it needed to.
It was long. It probably went almost a half hour.
Oh, but you didn't even know it.
No, it flew by. You're
flew
totally right about that.
By.
This
it completely
RKO,
flew by. It's so good.
Look at that RKO.
It's so good.
The timing, he's
perfection. It's perfection.
Nobody has. I don't think there's anybody that has better timing. You know, Daniel Shell calls it right here. I gotta say, Daniel's on fire tonight. And he's a pure athlete, so fluid in the ring, on the mic. He's great. He'll be main eventing by this time next year. Absolutely, he will. I think he's talking about Chad Gable in that case. I thought he was talking about Randy Orton there for a second, but Randy Orton is just a phenomenal athlete.
They had the crowd too at the palm of their hands, like for both times, for both the Saturday live show and for tonight.
Oh yeah. Randy Orton was there on Saturday. I was really surprised to see him. And Trevor Mishke said that I thought Randy Orton died last week. He recovered quickly. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Apparently he worked that injury really, really well to kind of give an out for losing to the Street Profits. When he showed up on Saturday at Madison Square Garden, and that was the only match that he worked the weekend, it was he was fired up. He was amped up to be at the Garden.
So
he was
good.
having fun. He was when he was standing on the apron, he had his leg on the middle rope, and the crowd was just chanting for him. He was just going crazy. He loved it. And then he was just doing he's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And they stretched and touched his toes, and people loved it. He's having fun.
They were all playing with the crowd.
And tonight he said it, and I think that was the most honest promo that we've seen in quite some time. After they won the titles, Randy Orton said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I can tell you right now, this is one of the most fun times I've had in my career, teaming with Riddle. I believe it. He looked like he was having fun.
They did.
It's great to see people having fun that for
Natural
a while.
Chemistry is just, you can't beat it. You can't beat that whole dynamic of a natural vibe. People have good connections. You can have that, there are people who work well together and they're not necessarily the greatest of friends or the whatever, but the two of them have something so special. But actually, honestly, every tag team in this works well together.
Yeah.
They're just killer matchups.
But isn't it great to see people having fun?
Just having fun.
That haven't looked like they've been having fun in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton before 2020 when Edge came back was kind of there. Wow, there's a lot of wind outside tonight. You hear that? Oh, look. Our blinds are folding in. It's actually so strong it's coming through the window.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so
all we've had is wild wind here.
That's
tonight,
all it says. It's every other day it's not, and watch out for wind advisory.
Advisories, yep. So anyway, for before 2020, Randy Orton was kind of there. He's always good for a solid match, but he was kind of, can we say it? He was kind of phoning it in for a while.
Oh, and I think he would even.
he-
I honestly, if you think he had like a tell-all right now, he would even say like, "Yeah, I was
Yeah.
phoning it in."
Yeah, he was getting paid. He had the star power, and he was showing up and getting paid.
Yeah.
That's all he was
Getting
doing.
a paycheck,
But
doing the
he
bare
went through a
minimum.
refocusing of his career, and even though there was that little lull with that horrible Fiend storyline,
But-
which I'll never forget. Oh, Mike, it's brilliant. The pain and the heel, the hurt and the heel thing. It's the most brilliant storyline of all time. No,
Nope,
it was garbage. It was garbage. Cost Bray Wyatt his career. That's how bad this stuff was.
But only Randy Orton can.
Only Randy Orton can come back from
it. He's the only one, and he
And
he went a whole other level of coming back.
And he's having fun. And you know who else is having fun? Brock Lesnar's having fun. Brock Lesnar was having fun on Saturday night.
See what happens when you just like have fun and you have reign to kind of do what you want, because obviously somebody like Randy Orton has a lot of say what happens to him in his career. So
I don't think he signed on for some of that Fiend stuff.
No, but he still has a lot of power, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that this has a lot of their personalities attached to it. He's the veteran in all this. So he's going to have a lot of say of how everything progresses. So
yeah. So I mean, this is an excellent it was just an excellent match. Gable and Otis were just great in this. I mean, Chad Gable really
oh my god,
really shined in this.
He had the crowd. So
I love that they added
Saturday.
the shoosh thing to the entrance music too. He's like shoosh shoosh. It was just really
everyone
funny.
hated him like you wouldn't believe.
And the excuses that he makes, he's such a complainer. It's just great. This guy deserves to be on the WrestleMania card. I really hope. I don't know what they're doing with RK Bro with the tag team titles, but I gotta imagine Alpha Academy figures into those plans somewhere. It's probably the Street Profits too. But damn. Chad Gable, really, what a career turnaround. How about Otis too? Big career turnaround.
I did not think those two. Okay. No, I should say this. I didn't think Chad Gable had it in him. Otis, I knew could get back.
Well, Chad,
I knew he could. I didn't know much about Chad Gable.
I remember interviewing Simon Gotch at Starrcast in 2018. Remember him from the Vaudevillains?
Oh, yes.
And he was talking about the work ethic of Chad Gable and how he's going to be a star one day and how he was the one that just outshined everybody in all the training sessions in NXT and all that stuff. And he, it took a few years, but he's right. Chad Gable is, I mean, we knew he was a great wrestler. We knew that.
Oh, yeah, that you knew.
That was
character-wise.
Who
knew this?
Phenomenal. I mean, he's tapping into the Kurt Angle thing, but I mean, the Kurt Angle thing worked.
But he has his own spin on it.
The cheesy Olympian that complains about everything and I didn't really get beat. This happened, I like you guys only beat us last week because I took a stunner from Kevin Owens and I was still recovering and blah blah blah. Yes, Nafis. I can vouch for that. That's exactly what Simon Gotch told me, that he's one of the strongest humans in the locker room.
Amazing.
By far.
It is, and it is a Kurt Angle 2.0. And I'm okay. And what's funny? So there are certain individuals I'm like, no, just be your own. Like, don't be the first, Chad Gable. Don't try to emulate somebody else's character. But in this particular case, I'm all for taking elements of a Kurt Angle like spiel putting it
to do what works, but improve it.
Improve it. Yeah. Well, you make it your own.
Yeah. So he's awesome. But also a great story in the match where Owens and Rollins really, working hard to try to, they were desperate. Like you could feel the desperation in the match to try to make sure that path is cleared up for them to get to WrestleMania. And when they lost the match, they were dejected and all that stuff. And, Seth Rollins really was, he didn't say anything after the match and walked off. I still don't know what they're going to do with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I have no idea.
Isn't it amazing?
That I really like.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, like, who is there for him to face? I want to know in the chat right now, where do you think Seth Rollins is going? You know, a couple people thought, maybe it'll be Rollins versus Kevin Owens because Rollins walked off on him. But obviously, Kevin Owens is going to be.
We know what he's getting involved in.
We know what he's doing. So I'm trying to think who's on the roster right now. Oh my God, Seth versus Omos. Randy, please. U.S. title, Andrew Elder thinks. Maybe Rollins versus Finn Balor. We've seen it before. Finn Balor is so diminished, though. My God. U.S. champion in name only.
That was the most lackluster match on Saturday, in my opinion.
The Damian Priest match, yeah, it was just there. It was just there.
Wasn't horrible, but
I think Finn Balor's actually probably going to wind up facing Damian Priest at WrestleMania, probably a kickoff show match. I could see that. I could see that, and probably Damian Priest. Oh, Daniel Shell with the hot take here. Talks with allegedly. I mean, who the hell knows what's going on now? But allegedly, talks with Cody Rhodes and WWE have fizzled, especially now Tony Khan has purchased Ring of Honor. They might have been working the internet crowd to build up to Cody Rhodes coming to Ring of Honor instead. But we shall see. But Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, that could be something. That would
be interesting for sure.
Michoud thinks it's Seth versus Cody. Maybe.
Well, maybe that's what. And again, like you just said, that maybe their dealings have fizzled a little bit. Maybe that's what they want us to think. So who the hell knows?
It'd be. Well, I mean, they already did it.
Oh no, please, Andrew.
What? What do you say?
Seth Rollins versus Ricochet.
Well, Ricochet's on SmackDown. But I mean, it could be. He could go over to SmackDown and say, I want the Intercontinental title. But
I don't want him against Ricochet.
No, that would be a great match. That would be a great match. That could be a really great match.
I don't know about that.
I
don't know if I agree with that.
Dominic Mysterio's wrestling on WrestleMania this year. It's like, come on. It's like, how does Seth freaking Rollins not have a match? Yeah, I'm looking at this Raw roster here. There's no one for him to face. Everybody's already taken.
Everyone's taken.
Or it's Finn Balor and Damian. I mean, he could face. I guess maybe he could face Apollo Crews.
Fun.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I think it might have to be a SmackDown person. It might. Or, wow, hold on. Here's a big thought.
Oh dear Lord.
Here's a big thought. Could it be Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker for the NXT title on WrestleMania or at the NXT show?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, if it happens, I'll get a pie in my face, but
I'm just trying to throw out something wacky. Here.
I think Seth Rollins is going to insert himself somewhere.
Andre Battle Royal, maybe? We'll see. But Seth Rollins does not really have a clear path to WrestleMania.
No.
Oh man. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Mr. Rollins there. But great tag team match. You have to go out of your way to see it. Now, this third piece of news deals with Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch has a fractured larynx coming out of the Allentown live event from Sunday.
Oh
Becky Lynch had the triple threat with Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley at Madison Square Garden
was great.
One of the best matches of the entire night. Rhea Ripley, oh my God, I was watching that match. And I was like, God, that's the Rhea Ripley. You said it. You said it.
I said it. I said, this is the Rhea Ripley that I was excited that was coming up from NXT to the main roster. That's what I said. And what I loved about the live event was there was no pressure. There was no pressure to have to please a televised crowd and Vince in your ear and, whatever. It's just straight. Everybody's having fun. Everyone's doing their thing. That is what I love to see. And that is why I think that triple threat worked so well, because they were all just doing their thing. And Rhea Ripley looked incredible.
Yeah.
And listen, We knew Bianca Belair would be a slam dunk. We knew Becky Lynch would be great. And Rhea Ripley always had that potential and showcased it before when she was in NXT. I'm like, this girl's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But
that girl, incredible that night.
But that she looked great. But Becky Lynch was certainly playing heel really well there. And now, big question mark for WrestleMania. Becky Lynch did say in her Instagram post that she would be back next week, but she has a fractured larynx, which she called her voice box. It's the larynx. We don't know how severe the fracture is. I did a little research on it. There's apparently 5 grades of the of fracturing the larynx, but like everything above, like it could be a sports injury. No, it's not a work injury. This is not a work injury. When it's a sports injury, it's probably at a level 1. It does take some pressure to break the larynx. But anything above level 1 or grade 1 starts to involve respiratory issues. And obviously grade 5 would be the worst, where you don't breathe anymore. But if you have a fractured larynx,
but
I don't know if I'd mess around with that as it's healing to have a WrestleMania match.
Well, here's
I'm going to say right now, I think Becky Lynch's WrestleMania prospects are right now in doubt, pending further news coming out about this.
Well, here's the reason why I feel like that too, because when you fracture something, it's different than a break. It's just different though. A fracture is totally different, and it's harder to heal quickly with that. You know, those things take time. So if you are dealing with some sort of like potential respiratory risk, why are you going to risk it? And honestly too, being a mom, like I wouldn't risk it either. Like I wouldn't put myself in jeopardy like that just so I wouldn't be able to be home for, over, and I hate to say it, like not over, but over like a match. Like to me, I'd be like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to risk injuring myself any further to be, whatever. So yeah. I don't know.
So we'll see. Well, I'm currently reading what Chop has to say about it.
You went to Chop's website?
Yeah. So the signs and symptoms of it obviously are difficulty speaking or making sounds, change in voice, a hoarseness, noisy breathing, which is called stridor, respiratory distress, complaints of neck pain or pain when swallowing or coughing, bruising on the neck, coughing, blood, neck swelling. So those are probably the more extreme as we go on there. So
I mean, she could be back next week, but maybe not like doing anything though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think she'd be doing anything. And if anything, she will have to, probably the first time she will do anything is probably WrestleMania. I'm just going to type in fractured larynx healing time. So it says an average time of reconstruction suggested. No, we don't want that. Treatment and management. Because I'm just super curious about this now.
I just don't think like I said, I wouldn't risk it. Personally, me, I'd be like, nope, sorry.
I'm sure I actually think she's being held in the hospital for observation, because they said that you within the first 24 to 48 hours after the injury, you have to be monitored to make sure you don't need a tracheotomy. So it's possible.
Oh my God. I mean, really.
It's not. Look, this is not a good injury. This is not a good injury at all. And this really kind of upsets that WrestleMania card. That's a huge match. Now, I still think the main event of WrestleMania Saturday is going to be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, but probably one of the second biggest things, other than the Austin thing on that WrestleMania Saturday, forget the Logan Paul thing, was going to be Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Now, the question is, who do we bring out? Daniel Schell's saying, what about Asuka? Maybe.
And somebody mentioned Rhea Ripley before.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, like, first of all, if it does wind up happening where she's not going to perform, which honestly, I hope she doesn't at this point, just for her own safety.
Well, we'll see how bad it is. And I mean, I'm no doctor. I'm just reading. I'm reading literature.
But
on it
if I were to replace her, if we could replicate what happened on Saturday at WrestleMania between Bianca Belair, and granted, Becky Lynch was obviously that third person involved, so it changes the dynamic a little bit. But if we could get that Rhea Ripley out there, you're in for a great matchup between Bianca and Rhea Ripley. So if they were able to replicate that from Saturday, they would be fine. It would be very entertaining.
100%. 100%. So
then how do you get the so you just have the match then? Then whoever wins this belt at that point?
Unless they just call it and they just, they try to do something else. I'm not 100% sure, but there's definitely she said it's broken. So broken voice box.
Oh, she is in a tag match?
Who?
Rhea is in a tag match.
Right now she's that doesn't matter. It's for the women's tag team titles. It's okay. They could pull her out of it. They could, and do like a schmaz little and then Becky Lynch can come back and challenge the real champion. They can do that kind of thing too.
Yeah, because I'm telling you.
So grade 1 apparently is a minor endolaryngeal hematomas and lacerations no fracture. So she might be at grade 2 if she's telling the truth, then it's broken. She said broken voice box, edema, hematoma, minor mucosal disruption without exposed cartilage, non-displaced fracture, varying degrees of airway compromise. So she's probably at a grade 2. Maybe a grade 3 because it says vocal cord immobility. She said that she lost her voice, so it's possible she might be at a grade 3. It doesn't sound good. I
think any level is horrible.
Any level dealing with the throat.
I don't want to deal with that.
I would not mess with that.
Nope. Any level to me is dangerous. I don't care if they tell me I could be back in the next day to work. I'd be like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm very, very concerned for Becky Lynch right now. Very.
I just concerned. Like I said, I wouldn't even risk it as a parent at this point. I'm just saying that's just me.
Yeah, but that's huge news. That might be the biggest news of anything that we talked about in the show
today. I honestly think so because that's well, first of all, anybody who like injures themselves to that capacity is just that's horrible.
Yeah, no, it's no good. Now, yes, of course, the other thing added to WrestleMania was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are going to be challenging for the women's tag team titles alongside Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Carmella and Queen Zelina. That's the only purpose of the women's tag team titles at this point.
It's just to get more women on the card.
It's serving a purpose right now to get people on the WrestleMania card. So it doesn't exist for any other reason for 364 days of the year, but on that one day of the year, it's there just to get.
It's true.
Just to get people on the card.
That's a legitimate statement right there. There's no reason for those tag titles whatsoever.
No. They're garbage. The whole
mean
concept
nothing.
is garbage.
They mean nothing.
By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you're watching, please like, share, and subscribe. I want to see those likes pile up. Let's go, people.
Let's go, people.
Let's go.
Where's Quentin?
I don't know.
Where's Quentin?
Might be sweeping tonight. I don't know. Anyway, so the rest of the show, pretty good. Nothing really terrible. There was an Edge promo that was short and sweet where he kind of just talked about, why he did what he did to AJ Styles last week. He wants to bring out the Bulldog in AJ Styles and get him going. And he loves this new side of himself. He hasn't seen it in a long time. And, he likes what he's doing now. We already talked about the Finn Balor Austin Theory match. Austin Theory is facing Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. So Austin Theory they put him in a big situation at Madison Square Garden too. He was the mystery opponent for Brock Lesnar, which was extremely disappointing to a lot of people in that crowd.
But it worked out, though. It did. It worked out fine the way that they played it out. So,
yeah. Nafi said that Quentin said earlier in the chat that he had health issues and he couldn't stay.
Oh, poor thing.
Oh, jeez. He's had a tough go of it the last since 2020.
I feel very bad.
Yeah, our thoughts are with Quentin.
I hate when any of you get sick. I do.
I don't like when anybody goes. This is like these people. I mean,
there's their family, so I hate when any of you get.
We've
been
doing this almost 4 years.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We're all our family here, and I don't like it. I don't
Well,
like it. If you
how many of you all stepped up, and especially Nafisa, our dear friend, when we were going through all of our stuff with Liliana, you all stepped up, and you guys are you all mean a lot, so much to us.
Oh my God, we love you guys.
And geez, we want Quentin to be okay. We want Quentin to be okay. And Daniel Shell's dealing with a pulled muscle.
Oh my God, stop getting hurt. Don't just enough.
Get over it,
enough. Enough, all of you. I don't want him to have a pulled muscle. I don't want anybody. Again, no sicknesses, no injuries. You're all banned from getting sick or ill. Okay, that's it. Banned. That's it. From
canceled.
From 12 on in our area, you're done. That's
Injuries are canceled.
Injuries are canceled. Illnesses are canceled.
I'd like to cancel this storyline with Dana Brooke, Reggie, Tamina, and Akira Tozawa.
Absolutely.
That was horrible.
Horrible.
Miz TV, or not really Miz TV. It was just kind of the Miz there with Logan Paul and randomly Jerry the King Lawler. Your thoughts?
Not good. There was no reason. And I'm not just saying that because Logan Paul was there. I'm legitimately saying there was no reason for Jerry Lawler to be there.
It was so random.
Just very random. I don't know what they were doing. Honestly, it's just, oh God. Miz was phenomenal on Saturday, by the way. Miz was great.
Oh my God, Miz.
He was taunting the New York crowd and telling them how we're trash.
Miz was so he's got the live event heel promo down to
a science.
It was classic heel. It was just like perfect.
It really was, and it's such a shame.
He really hates New York. I think he really hates. He doesn't hate New York, but he was running down the New York sports teams. And probably as a guy who roots for all Cleveland teams.
Oh, of course he does.
He hates New York.
He
goes, whenever you guys win a championship, you buy it.
And he kept saying, he's like, I'm from Hollywood. LA's so much better. And we're like, no, you're not. You're not from Hollywood.
Yeah.
But he was so good.
Yeah.
And on it, but he had a thing against Kevin Owens that day. But I felt like tonight it served no purpose. It really did. And I know I'm being so
Logan Paul was really, really trying to get a good reaction from the Cleveland crowd. He did nothing heel. Absolutely nothing heel.
Freaking hate him. That's why. He knows that everyone hates him.
Hate this man.
No, it's not like
he was talking about, I love Cleveland. You made me to the man that I am. I have my high school friends here tonight. I grew up in Ohio and I placed 5th in wrestling.
I'm not buying it. Sorry, dude.
We love you. I love you.
Don't care.
And even when Miz said like, oh, Cleveland isn't a WrestleMania city and it doesn't deserve WrestleMania and this and that. Logan Paul was the one who was on board with WrestleMania coming to Cleveland. They did everything in their power to try to get him at least cheered in Cleveland, and they hated him. They hated everything about him.
No, because you know what? Sorry.
This is like the X-Pac go away heat.
It's not exactly. This is heat. Not like, Chad Gable, you're booing him, but you love him. Like that's not the heel heat that you're. People actually hate Logan Paul, including myself. I do not like him. Like he's not a likable individual. So when you see him, you're like, oh, I'm disgusted. I'm annoyed. I don't want your presence. This is
like when they had John Cena wrestle K-Fed in 2006 or 2005. He's a piece. I think it might have been 2005 or 2006, but K-Fed did wrestle John Cena at some point.
Did he really?
Yes. K-Fed is the reason I think that somebody lost a world title. I forget who it was. I think it was John Cena.
So he really is a piece of shit, K-Fed.
He's garbage.
He's garbage.
But yes, this is very reminiscent of like K-Fed, where people are going to tune in to watch him get his ass kicked. But I don't think Logan Paul's going to get his ass kicked. The Mysterios weren't even on the show tonight. The Mysterios weren't even on the show tonight. How is that possible? Dominic Mysterio wrestled last night in Allentown.
I don't know.
Like where the Mysterios are being booked so horribly here that they don't even appear on the show.
This just is not something.
But the skull crushing finales were that bad that now they're off two weeks in a row.
I'm not looking forward to any part of this. I love The Miz. I love him, but I don't like any of this going on
This is
right
not going to
now.
be bad. I'm going to call it now. Even if he has a good showing, this is not going to be a Bad Bunny celebrity appearance.
No, because again, Bad Bunny is a likable individual.
I think Johnny Knoxville is going to have the better celebrity match at WrestleMania.
Well, also,
why are we having multiple celebrity matches?
Okay, first of all, again, Johnny Knoxville, likable person. Logan Paul, not likable.
You know, Johnny Knoxville had a brain bleed in the like a day into the filming of the Jackass movie. Like, how did he get medically cleared?
Did you know that Johnny Knoxville had an emotional affair with Jessica Simpson? Well, she was married to Nick Lachey.
What the hell does that mean?
When they did in the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, stop. God. I don't want to hear it.
You gave a tidbit about Johnny Knoxville. I gave a tidbit about Johnny Knoxville.
Nobody wants to hear about his weird mutual. Who cares?
He had an emotional affair.
There's no such thing as an emotional affair.
What are you talking about?
What does that even mean?
They didn't.
Like us when I was yes, indeed, where we didn't act on our feelings.
They had an emotional affair. They wrote letters to each other and they texted each other.
Idiot. God.
I bet none of you knew that in the chat.
No one cares either. No one cares. God.
No one cares about your tidbits.
My tidbit was way better. Way better.
Everyone loves my information.
Yeah.
Randy likes it. He called it Gossip View just now. See?
Gossip View Live. Don't encourage this behavior.
No,
please.
Randy, you encourage all you want. See? Daniel Shell has an emotional affair with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, but it's a one-way street. She doesn't know that there's an emotional affair going on here. Anyway, so I think with the removal of Becky Lynch, they were kind of there was, some matches that went a little longer. The Ciampa and Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker looked great tonight. 24 years old, Rick Steiner's son, big beefy dude, the kind of guy that you could absolutely see Vince McMahon getting totally behind. He's only 24 years old, powerhouse. Could be like a Brock Lesnar type dude. Until, hopefully Vince doesn't get tired of him and, ruins his career. I actually thought that they were going to pin Braun Breaker in this match, but he looked good. That's why I was thinking like maybe Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, because they're kind of giving away the big title match that I thought was going to be a takeover tomorrow night on NXT. They're doing a roadblock show there. So it remains to be seen what could be going on for that.
Y'all need to recognize Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, we recognize him. He's there. He's there. He's there. Great. He's very, very good though. Braun Breaker. I was impressed just from his composure on Raw tonight. He looked like he belonged. Tommaso Ciampa doesn't really think he belongs, but that's neither here nor there. Omos easily beat Apollo Crews, and Omos's next challenge will be Commander Aziz.
Can we skip this?
I have a feeling that could be a WrestleMania match. I'm not even kidding.
I don't care.
I'm not even kidding.
I don't care. I'll do something else.
That's gonna suck. That's gonna really suck. Unless they do like a $10,000 body or $25,000 body slam challenge, like they did with Andre and
great. I'm done speaking about it. Sorry.
Yeah. Randy Torco says the hope for Breaker is that he's Vince's NXT guy, not one of Triple H's NXT guys. Vince killed almost every Triple H NXT guy. This is very, very true. Very, very true. So that's pretty much it for Raw. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. And Daniel mentioned it before too, because he's Mr. Oh, I'm on the train of Randy Orton turning heel eventually. Randy Orton did call Riddle his friend. And I swear to God, when he said he's my friend, I thought it was going to be like, oh, they're breaking up the tag team champions while they're still tag team champions, like they did with Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I was like, he's going to freaking RKO him right now. But that did clue me into the fact that the end is closer than we think.
Makes me sad.
I'd be sad because RK Bro was friggin' awesome.
I don't like that.
At WrestleMania. I'm sorry, at the live event, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, I'm assuming I am not an Omos fan. I big does not equal good.
I said that.
I said it too.
No, I said it
last
first.
week.
I said it
Yeah, but I said it last week. So
I said it last week, and then you said it.
I wrote it in my tweet last week.
I said it.
You read my tweet.
No, I did not read your tweet.
You read my tweet.
I did not read your tweet.
Okay. Anyway, final big piece of news, Randy, you already beat me to it, is that at long last, Vader is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Not for some reason. Vader is absolutely deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. But when Vader announced that he probably had 2 years left to live, and there was a big push for Vader to be put in the Hall of Fame while he was still alive, and I think he came in and inducted Stan Hansen.
Love Vader.
Vader came in and inducted Stan Hansen into the WWE Hall of Fame, the guy who popped his eye out of his socket. It was just like, how is Vader not part of the Hall of Fame yet? And then Vader goes and dies in 2018, and now they're posthumously inducting him in 2022. It's like, what took so long? Like, why could they not induct Vader while he was alive? And if you want to say, oh, well, they didn't want to induct him because, he said that he had the congestive heart failure. Maybe they're afraid that he would die on stage or something like that. They had him come out and induct Stan Hansen, despite the fact that he already was diagnosed with the bad heart. So he was already there, probably a year before he died. I don't understand why. I don't understand why it took so long. I don't understand.
Who is going to be inducting him and introducing him? Have they released any of that information
yet? They
haven't
said yet. I'm sure his son will be there to accept the induction. And I don't know who would induct him. If I had to guess, Mick Foley was the one who made the biggest push, and Mick Foley had some really great matches against Vader. But at the same time, Mick has been vocally, against a lot of the things going on in WWE. So I don't know if they want to bring him in right now. I don't know if that's a thing that they want to do. Hall of Fame is going to be a short ceremony this year because it's happening after SmackDown, and they want to keep it to an hour and a half max. So I don't think we're going to get very many more. Inductions. We have to have there has to be a woman. They usually do a celebrity. Andrew Elder's saying Cyndi Lauper should be in. I agree. Cyndi Lauper absolutely should be in. And I'm actually surprised that Cyndi Lauper isn't already in the Hall of Fame. I could have sworn that they put Cyndi Lauper in there. Yeah, no, she's in it. She's the class of 2019. So Cyndi Lauper is already in. She was the class of 2019. Daniel Schell saying Jim Cornette. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think they'll ever bring Jim Cornette in again. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm trying to think of what other female, who could be the female, that they induct.
I don't know.
Like a big female that's not in yet. I could look through the roster real quick. But you had something you wanted to say about Vader?
I love Vader. One of my first memories of him was when he was on Boy Meets World. He did such a good job with his acting.
I bet you they put Alicia Fox in the Hall of Fame.
You had to ruin my Vader moment by saying
go
that.
On, talk about your Vader moment.
I know he was so funny in the episode. The whole premise was obviously that he was a wrestling father, and just his acting was just so good. That's that. Daniel, he's gonna mention the same thing about Boy Meets World. Yeah, he was
the Boy Meets World thing.
Yeah,
that was
like very to the times of big like WWF and what the Rattlers. It was, but yeah, it was one of my favorite. I wound up really enjoying him from then on.
Yeah, he was great. He was one of the best. For my money, I don't think there's a better big man in wrestling history than Vader. He's one of the best, top 5 big guys of all time. Maybe Melina. Yeah, I'm scrolling. Maybe Sable, Brock Lesnar's wife. Maybe they put Sable in this year.
Maybe
that could be something. Stacy Keibler. That's always a name. She's definitely Terry Runnels. I don't think Terry's in the Hall of Fame. I'm scrolling through. I'm trying to think who could be that person, but I don't know. And maybe one more inductee, a celebrity. I don't know who the celebrity would be, but we'll see.
I agree with Randy. It could have just been Taker this year. They could have just had the one inductee.
Let's see. Wait a minute. Hold on. It says Cyndi Lauper joins WWE Hall of Fame class of 2019. Maybe I screwed. You know what? Maybe I screwed this up. No, you know what? Cyndi Lauper isn't in the Hall of Fame. How about that?
She's not?
Yes, she is not in the Hall of Fame. I thought.
Well, I feel like that would have been a bigger deal if she
not
went.
Really,
no,
at this point, I don't know if that'd be huge. But I mean, if she's not in the Hall of Fame, she needs to be in there. She needs to be in there. Oh, Daniel Schell says Linda McMahon. That's a good one too. Yeah.
Everyone's saying in the chat you could have just had Taker this year and had Vader like next year.
I agree. I don't. Vader's not a big enough name to not a big enough WWE name to headline the Hall of Fame. That's my thought. That's my thought, because he didn't really make a big impact in WWE because Shawn Michaels kind of derailed him. But you know, I mean, like everybody knows that anybody who's a fan of wrestling knows what Vader did outside, but he wasn't big enough in WWE or WWF when he was in at the time. So I don't think he's a big enough name to headline, but he's definitely like, you know, that great, you know, second inductee. That's my thoughts. You could have just done Taker this year though, but yeah, you got to stretch it to an hour and a half. So we'll see.
You could have stretched it for an hour and a half.
Anyway, I think we're good here. I think I'm going to keep speculating on who they're going to add, but you know, I'm surprised that Cyndi Lauper isn't in. China's in.
Yeah, China is in. Yeah,
that much I do know. China is in as a member.
That I remember DX. I remember that.
So I can't believe Cyndi Lauper's not in the Hall of Fame. I cannot believe that.
Well, eventually, I guess she will be, right?
That's insane. The Rock and Wrestling Connection, Captain Lou Albano. Like, are you kidding me? That's weird. She's got to go in. All right. Anyway, everybody, although China could go in as an individual, not just as DX.
She could.
She could do that. If X-Pac can be in the Hall of Fame twice, China can be in the Hall of Fame twice. Come on. Vince is vindictive, but you know, he's not a big fan of Triple H anymore, apparently. He totally undid everything his son-in-law did. So maybe, you know, inducting his former fiance will be the icing on the cake and make family dinner extremely awkward.
Vince is he's a special kind of person.
So Daniel Schell saying that Stone Cold will respond to Kevin Owens at 12 noon. Well, I have a feeling he's going to say yes. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. So.
Could say no.
Imagine if he said no.
It's like, nah,
it's like,
well, it.
All right, well, that was a whole
maybe next year. Sorry.
That was the most pointless segment in Raw history then. Okay. Anyway, I'm Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Thank you so much for joining us. 150 episodes in, really 151 or 152, however you want to look at it, but
a couple lost episodes.
Darn it, we did it. What was the other lost episode again?
Our pilot.
Our pilot and
then the
Raw after WrestleMania 2020.
Was it 2020?
Or was it 2019? No, it's 2020. It's 2020. Yes, it was 2020. It was during the pandemic.
That was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. 150 in, and hopefully 150 more. We'll see. But it's great to be with you people. You got everybody here is just awesome. We have the best fan base in the world. So thanks for joining us for all this time. And we'll see you next week. We're going to be back next week on March 14th. WrestleMania, The road to WrestleMania continues. We'll see you then, everybody. Thanks
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
Have a good week.
Night.